Hello, everyone. It's been a bit, so I wanted to do a little show and tell. Let me go ahead and share my screen out so you can see what I've been working on here. So first, I'm going to show you a program that I've been working on for a few weeks, and then afterwards I'll tell you a little bit more about it. If you look over here, you'll see there's a green icon here. This is going to let us fact check some information here. So let's start with going to Google News. So let's look at one of the top articles here, NPR. The U.S. will resume Ukraine military aid. Okay, let's give it a whirl, see what happens. So we click the icon, and it's going to start extracting content, generate search queries, searching for references, analyze the claims, verify the facts. And survey says C minus 70, moderate confidence. At the top, you can see the article, which matches here, and you can see when it was published, 525, and the author of it. Explanation, several key claims that are verifiable, but there's some misleading aspects and also lacks context. Hmm. So let's check it out on the next page. We got some different claims here. Verifiability, that's verifiable. Sources indicate, also verifiable. Strong, no contradictory evidence, and source credibility. Statement lacks details about the conditions of the ceasefire, though, which lowers it. Makes sense. Score 80. The statement is mostly accurate with the main claims supported by credible sources, but it lacks critical context and could lead to misinterpretations. But here I got a 70, so I need to fix that. Okay, note to self, fix that in a second. So let's see what else we can do. Let's check out some other news articles. Let's ABC News. Let's see what we got here. Start choice. Let's do another check. Click the button and wait. All right, here we go. Doing some transmissions to different services now, verifying them, and an A minus actually true. Uh, Evidence provided. So you can read this on your own, and you can actually do it up and down. This tool, and then you have different references here, CNN, AP News. CNN takes you here. And so you can cross-reference and corroborate some of the information to find out. But it's limited in this terms of the date of the future developments. So stuff is still ongoing. Makes sense. Moderate confidence. So this tool allows you to check different web pages to find out how authentic they are. But what else can it do? Well, let's try looking at some social media stuff, shall we? So let's go to r/news. That's usually a hotbed. Department of Energy, or sorry, Department of Education. I am tired. It's late. So instead of just clicking this entire page and sending all this data back and forth, we can just highlight this and then we can click the same button. And now this will do the exact same thing, but it'll do it from a smaller context or a smaller subtext, I guess. And it says, and notice the quotations, Department of Education, which is this headline here. And this is actually a true article, A minus 90. And then you can see the references here. There's one from The Guardian and this one here, which is from The Hill. So you can see how this is interesting that you could highlight some different pieces of information here. Let's see, what else can we do here? Let's go look at something else and like I know. Let's go to ideas quantified. Inside ideas quantified, I have this links thing and it's building some different Reddit aggregates from some different popular subreddits that you can look at. It's supposed to build it every hour, so it must be regenerating. So we can just choose one of these here. Uh, ChatGPT, technology. Today I learned comic books. I'm gonna do physics. What is the biggest rabbit hole in physics? Uh, let's see if this does anything, shall we? I have not actually tried this one. I'm curious how this will work out. Uh, what's the biggest bug? It's vague and subjective. So for reference, if somebody posted something on social media that was just a simple one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 words, a very small amount of characters, you could see that it will give you some feedback on it. So this tool is designed to allow you to make some better determinations about the statements that are coming in from different people or the statements that are being posted online by different people or different sources. So that way you can kind of get an idea of things. So let's see, what about mm, alien bodies? Let's see, hold on. Let's do something like an our aliens. Let's go to all right, let's do aliens. Our aliens. All right. Bombshell memo. All right, let's try looking at this one here. Let's check this out. So we can highlight it. Oh, and you can actually right click if you want to as well. So you can either fact check the selected text, or if you don't right click it, it changes that context and says fact check the entire page. So I'm going to just do this here. And let's go ahead and do this. It's the same process as going through it. And this one, F. Yeah. Limited by the lack of access to the actual memo in the broader context. And then, but there are a few links that you can read more about life science. So this is a very entertaining tool. You can go to all sorts of different things. One thing I noticed is that um, some of these places like that, I think I have this cache right, InfoWars. Like some of these things are actually not what you would expect. Let's see if this one actually works this time. Analyzing, searching, analyzing, verifying. Surprisingly, InfoWars is higher than I expected initially. In this case, it is not though. This is an F. And it actually, the InfoWars page, I forgot, the code is so, I don't know what it is about it, but I can't actually even like click my tabs here every time I go to InfoWars. It just like bricks it. So we'll go to it again. Let's go to, um, what other things can we go to? My brain is tired. All right, let's try this. CNN. And let's see what happens on this one. And so it's trying to do some checks, and this CNN article actually turns out to be correct. It's interesting in a lot of the analysis and a lot of the checks I've done, CNN wasn't as high as I expected to be. It was actually lower. And InfoWars, surprisingly, was actually a little bit higher than I expected to by comparison. So it's pretty interesting what you can do with this tool by checking it. Let's try this one. Trump admin. Let me pause that. All right. For future reference, people that embed videos that automatically start with full volume, it's it's not my cup of tea. All right, verifying facts. I think I can. C minus. Okay. And it lets you go through some of the information. Go to the next page. Verdict 75. I need to make sure this value is outputted and passed to the input up here for future reference. I'll put that later on. This is all on a GitHub repository for everyone to use, and it should be posted in the Google Store in the next day or so, hopefully. One of the higher rated websites, surprisingly, was the Chronicle, I noticed. It seems like it's fairly accurate. So this is the Battleship Texas. Very historical, cool battleship for those that aren't aware. What's really neat about the Battleship Texas actually is that bands have even played on here. Like I think 10 years or 3 Days Grace. I forget one of them, for example, played on this band. That's pretty cool. So B minus. The Chronicle, usually from what I can tell, it's fairly highly accurate. I don't want to use the word truth. I'd rather to say the word accurate, meaning that what they post can actually be cross-referenced for accuracy and factualness. All right, so you get the idea of how this tool works. You can highlight text. You can, to do a check on it, you can right click it. You can search the entire page. So what does it work? How does it do it and whatnot? This is the tell part. So up here, I'll show you some of the options here. Extension is a Google Chrome extension and it has multiple APIs that are going in it right now. So it has an OpenAI API key and it has a Brave Search API key. Um, and just again, for full transparency, this tool is designed to be free and open source for everyone to use. It would be ideal if as a community we could all come to an agreement of what, I guess, truth is and what facts are and try to have transparency to discuss those pieces of information. I think transparency is an important pillar of building honesty and trust in a relationship with anyone. So these keys, right? So I put it so it hides it. If you click show, it'll only show you part of it. You'd have to click it again to fully decode it. And I also built in a tester too. So that key is valid. Same thing over here, a partial Brave key, and you can test it. And you can see that it also validated that key too. Brave allows you to have 2,000 queries in a month for free. That's very, very handy. And in my testing, what I figured out is that, you're going to use probably about half of that. At least I used about half that. I used about 1,000 and I've estimated for the month for building this app. And if you're worried about OpenAI, its cost is very, very cheap. It's less than $1 for a month or so. This is different than paying the $20 fee that you would pay for OpenAI for ChatGPT, if that's what you're thinking. The API is kind of like a serverless function, meaning that it only costs you the amount of processing time that you're using that question that you're using, which is a fraction of a penny, of $1. So it's almost nothing. And in fact, I put that value in here so that you could see it. So this is the legacy, the old school 3.5 turbo that a lot of people are familiar with. This is the current one that's pretty popular, Mini. Mini will cost you 15 cents for 1,000,000 tokens. That's about 10,000 paragraphs of information. 10,000 paragraphs is a lot of information. And if you're wondering, the input would be feeding the data from a news website or from Reddit or whatever it is, like feeding the Chronicle, CNN, Fox News, Reddit, whatever it is, feeding that would be 15 cents for 10,000 paragraphs of information. And then when you get that response back, the verdict, the claims, the analysis, all of that, that's 60 cents for 10,000 paragraphs. So all total, that's under $1, which is very, 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 very fair, I think, or very, very expensive. I try to cache the results to make it a little bit easier, and these are all customizable, right? So, and I try to do rate limiting. Rate limiting means that you don't make so many requests to get the information that you start to kind of like a denial of service attack on a website, you don't get throttled or penalized. So I kept it at 3 for now, but this is all customizable for anybody that wants it. Multimodal verification is an attempt to aggregate many different AI models. So for example, here you can do a hybrid where you use one AI model for search and one AI model for analysis. In the original versions of this, I tried experimenting with putting Anthropic API in here, but I had some problems getting that working. And I also put in a local LLM. I used a Meta's Llama 3.2 in here because it's free and you can run it on your machine depending upon the hardware that you have. And that way you would have a truly free system where you could use the Brave API here for free, and then you could use local llama for free. But in the end, it seemed a little kludgy because you have to install the local language model, and whether you're putting it in a Docker container or on your system, and then you have to have some way to convert with a proxy server to send the data back and forth, and it's got kind of kludgy. So I put that off for now for this initial release, just so you can see this, and just so I can talk about it a little bit as well. At the bottom here, you can also export your settings and import them, and you can reset and save. So every time you make a change, you can save it. If you like your settings the way they are, you can export it, delete this extension, get rid of it, and then later on, if you want to put it back, re-add the extension and re-import your settings with the API keys, and you're good to go. Over here in UI preferences, you can see the enhancement. You can move the top right to the top left or put it in different positions. I put in dark mode, so you kind of experiment. This is an experimental feature I would warn you against using for now, but I have it there because I'm eventually going to work on it some more. But it's to auto check. So as you're scrolling through the page, as you're scrolling through the internet, it should automatically scan that page to tell you what you're looking at, how accurate it is, or how factual it is. I feel like that'd be really, really handy. Unfortunately, the API queries, the analysis, and the back and forth, it takes a little less than 10 seconds from what I can tell per page. So unless you're on that page for 10 seconds or less, you might not be able to get the accurate information. You can speed that up down here by ignoring some pages or auto checking some pages, but caveat emptor, right, on that one. And over here are analytics. So this keeps track of things for you so that you know how you're doing. So the average text length that I've sent is about 4,000 characters. I've done 12 different facts, 4 on Reddit, 2 on InfoWars, weather, NPR, ABC News. The others that failed, it looks like, were due to timeouts on the page. Like for example, if you notice, I had to basically crash the InfoWars page. That is really hard to be consistent. I don't know what it is about the InfoWars code, but it seems like it gets a little weird for me. This tells you your estimated costs. So in this case, we're 12,999 input tokens. Remember, a million tokens to get to 15 cents on the input and was it 60 cents on the output. So we are super far away from having any sort of real charge. Down here, it shows you the accuracy of the different claims so that you can kind of do an analysis. So this Reddit one was highly inaccurate. This Reddit one was highly inaccurate. This one was fairly accurate. This was fairly accurate. So you can see that Reddit has good and bad data on it. So you have to pay attention. For example, if you don't like any of this usage data and you don't want to use any of that, you can turn this off and you no longer share any of that information as well. And then down here, I put some debugging tools so you can test your connection to Supabase. Supabase is the database backend where it sends the anonymized domain level data to be looked at. And the purposes of that are to be able to see how that data evolves over time for accuracy, mixed, or inaccuracy. And so that looks like this, for example, right? So the UUID is a generated value for the for that individual session as well as a unique value for that client. So there's no way to know who is what. It's a scrambled, randomly generated string. It shows you the model you used to do your identification, shows you when you did it, and it shows the website you went to. But it doesn't show, sorry, it shows the domain you went to, but not the website. It doesn't show you the exact string where you went to. So it doesn't show that I went to Reddit slash r slash news and then looked at something, or it doesn't show that I went to some string on CNN. It just shows the domain. And then that way you can see the scores. And so that way you can kind of over time find out the evolution of how these different websites are reporting data. And that allows you to have accountability, which is also another really big deal and another important value. And that goes hand in hand with the transparency, and that goes hand in hand with building honesty. And you need to be able to have accountability and report. And part of what I think is interesting about that is that over time, these values will change as as writers come and go, as editors come and go in terms of what they want on those things, as data is being reported on and re-updated. This will change, and the way society, frankly, looks at some of this stuff will also change too. And so this program here, this fact check program, is an attempt to try to have these conversations and improve things. And then finally have an about page. And I don't have the release notes linked up. This is connected to GitHub, but it's not pulling that necessarily. And so you can see, you can submit on the GitHub. I'll click the link. Oops, not this one. I need to update that one. It should take you to here to fact check. And so fact check will allow you to, this is where you get the code, how you can run it and whatnot. Everything's freely available for distribution for you to use. You can email, you can go to the website to find out more information if you want. So for example, I think I already have a page up that this will be step by step. As you can see here, I try to show step by step how to make account with Brave API, how to log in, subscribe, confirm. This is the free plan that I mentioned earlier. You can have 2,000 requests, and then shows you how to get your key. OpenAI, you sign up, and I try to explain a little bit about the OpenAI developer. So let me just go ahead and show you some of that now. OpenAI API. So let's just go API platform, plug in to API, and I'll just show you how some of this works. Click here. So the settings will basically take you into the value here. The API keys, you would generate a key here by clicking this button, and you could just call it whatever you want. I'll just say fact check V2, and you would just click. Oh, I can't have that, huh? Why can't I have a test key? Oh, my restricted. Oh, project, of course. All right, fact check V2, go. Great. And it's like that, you'll get your key. Make sure you copy this because once you leave this screen and you hit done, you won't be able to ever see this again. And so that's why I would recommend using something like here, like a Bitwarden. Bitwarden will allow you to aggregate out some of your passwords and you can store them safely where no one can really get to it except for yourself. You can even run the Bitwarden password manager at your home if you desire to through like a Docker container. But I'm going to go ahead and delete this key now. Let me see what else. So you've also got billing. So here I have a balance. I keep about $20 in the account. It's a decent value. It's like getting a pizza basically. And then you can set your usage limits if you want. You can set how you want to do your billing and customize a lot of it. So I have a budget alert at there. And then in addition to the budget alert, I have a modification here where it'll go down to 5 and then go back up to 20. So you can customize some of your different things that you got. And then usage allows you to see how you're using those APIs, for example, over time. The other one is Brave. Let me show you Brave. Brave API. Brave API. Plug in. Quantifying. Give it a second. I think I can. I think I can. Oh yeah, let me verify my email here. Hold on 1 second while I log in to check if I can find it. All right. The 6-digit code, if my email will ever load, will be, let's see, 528577. Apparently that's incorrect. 528577. Ah, there we go. I fat fingered it. So you can choose a subscription, like I said in the article, and then you can get your API keys here. And that's literally only two things you really need to do. As long as you're on the free plan, you just don't ever pay. You're just good to go. When you get close to 2,000, I've never hit 2,000, but since you're connected to free for 2,000, I'm going to assume that it's going to either throttle you or disable your account until the 30-day period or whatever it is for the month that they're using completes. And then in terms of Google, I mentioned this is on the Google App Store, or at least it should be hopefully pretty soon. You can see this is the developer dashboard. It'll look like this: Rene, think, verify, and know. and it has a little green icon, and I have little pictures and things here that I put up here for the initial release of this. But right now, the status is pending review, and so I'm waiting on that. The article that I mentioned here, it's also up here, so you can see. This will be on LinkedIn. This will also be through ideasquantified.com. And this is all tabbed so you can, anchored, so you can click on the different links to get to it. So if you just want one particular process like demo, you can go directly to demo and it'll show you about the options to kind of walk you through it or explain it if you need to. And so yeah, so that's it, everyone. So yeah, so until next time, to be continued.